Hello students, this is Sanjay Kumar, Assistant Professor, School of Computer Applications, Babu Banarsi Das University, Lucknow. My subject is .NET Framework and C Sharp, and the code is BCA2501. And this is first module, and this is lecture number 4. This is also an introduction to .NET Framework, part 4. So now let us start the part 4 of introduction to .NET Framework. So the first slide is what is metadata. So metadata is human readable information about a source or data about data. Such information might include details on content, format, size, or other characteristics of data source. In .NET, metadata includes type definition, versioning information, external assembly references, and other standardized information. So compiling managed code always produce MSIL. Compiling managed code always also produces metadata described that code. So metadata is information about the type defined in the managed code. It is associated with, and it's stored in the same file as MSIL generated from those types. The file containing the MSIL code generated from the type in the original program, which once again are the, let us suppose there are 3 classes X, Y, and Z, along with the code for the methods in each class. The file contains metadata describe these classes and any other type defined to in this type. The information is loaded into memory when the file itself is loaded, making the metadata accessible at runtime. Metadata can also be read directly from the file that contains it, making information available even when code is not loaded into memory. The process of reading metadata is known as reflection. Next point is what is metadata contains. Actually, metadata describes the type contained in a module. Among the information it stores for a type are the following. First one is the type name. It contains type name. The type's visibility, which can be public or assembly. It also contains the information what type this type inherit from, any interface the type implements, any method the type implement, any properties the type exposes, any event the type provides. So these information are contained in metadata. So more detailed information is also available. For example, the description of each method includes the method's parameter and their types, along with the type of the method's return value. Because metadata is always present, tools can rely on it always being available. Visual Studio.NET, for example, uses metadata to show a developer what methods are available for the class name. A module's metadata can also be examined using a tool called I I ILDASM. This tool is reverse of the ILASM tool mentioned earlier in this chapter. This topic, it is a dissimilar for MSIL, and it can also provide a detailed display of the metadata contained in a particular module. Now, what is the metadata for assemblies? That is manifest. Metadata for assemblies are called manifests. Assemblies are a logical construct. There is no single file that wraps all the files in an assembly. In fact, it is not possible to tell what file belongs to the same assembly just by looking at a directory listing. Instead, determining which file comprises a particular assembly requires examining that assembly's manifest. As just described, the metadata in a module such as DLL contains information about the type in that module. An assembly manifest, by contrast, contains information about all of the modules and other files in an assembly. In other words, a manifest is metadata about an assembly. The manifest is contained in one of the assembly's file, and it includes information about the assembly and the files that comprises it. Just as a tool such as Visual Basic.NET, Visual Studio.NET generates metadata for each module it compiles, so too it generates an assembly with an appropriate manifest. Now in the next slide, what is the just-in-time compiler? Just-in-time compiler takes code that is already or partially compiled, that is MSIL code, in an intermediate form such as MSIL code, and put it into a machine-specific form as it runs. JIT is the process of compiling MSIL code units just when needed at runtime. The JIT compiler is the common language runtime, compiles MSIL instructions to native machine code as a .NET application is being executed. Compilation occurs when a method is called and is not compiled more than once during program execution, because JIT compiled code is cached in memory. So while the application is running, the instructions are compiled, are stored in the memory. This prevents the computer from recompiling the same segment of code repeatedly. If the program is using a loop for an algorithm or something similar, however, after the program finishes and memory is cleared, all that remains is the partially compiled program that you started with. In theory, the .NET JIT compiler should be the only platform independent component of .NET. But in real life, the majority of .NET framework, class libraries, and some of the other components are tied to the Windows platform. JIT execution process. What is the JIT execution process? CLR class loader loads MSIL code and metadata are loaded into memory. The code manager calls the entry point method, that is main method, which is win main or DLL main method. The JIT compiler compiles the method to before the execution of entry point method. The code manager places the object in memory and controls the execution of the code. The garbage collector performs periodic checks on the managed heap to identify the objects which is not in use for the application. All the time program execution, the type checker ensures that all objects and values and the references of objects and values has its valid type. The type checker also makes sure that only valid operations are performed on the code, otherwise the exception will be thrown. The code is controlled by CLR at runtime. CLR enforces security in the following manner. First one, to control and access the system resources like hard disk, to control and access the network connections, to control and access the other hardware resources. So this is the execution process. Now types of JIT compilers. There are three types of the .NET environment provides three types of JIT compilers. First one is pre-JIT compiler. Pre-JIT compiler compiles entire code into native code completely. Pre-JIT compiler compiles source code into native code in a single compilation cycle. Pre-JIT sits at the stage of deployment of the application. So we use pre-JIT compiler when we want to deploy a application. So in single cycle, this pre-JIT compiler compiles the codes and then we can deploy the application. Next one is EconoJIT compiler. This compiler compiles code part by part, freezing when required. EconoJIT compiles methods that are called at runtime. However, these compiled methods are discarded when they are not required. So EconoJIT compiler is economic. It only compiles those methods that are called at runtime. Next one is normal JIT compiler. This compiler compiles only that part of code when called and placed in the cache. They are called JIT or normal JIT. Normal JIT only compiles the methods which are called at runtime. These methods are compiled the first time they are called, and then they are stored in cache. When the same method is called again, the compilation code from cache is used for execution. So these are three types of JIT compiler. We can use any one of them as per requirement. Now, what are the benefits of JIT compiler? Benefits of JIT compiler. The most obvious benefit of Microsoft language runtimes JIT scheme is that it takes system diagnostic IL code and compiles it into native code for the system upon which it is running. In other words, it finishes the compiling just in time for it to be run. This is done for program portability. Different type of machine architecture uses different machine level instructions. Machine instructions that work on MIPS or Power PC processor will not work on X68 processor. So partially compiled programs are compiled as far as it can be without getting into instructions. They vary in machine architecture or OS. Like the garbage collector, the just-in-time process is optimized to make the code run as efficiently as possible. It compiles code only when it needed to execute the code. The just-in-time compiler also caches the compiled code to reduce the need to continuously recompiling the same code every time it is called. So these are the benefits of JIT compile. Now let us see some differences between JVM and runtime CLR. An important difference between how .NET execute code and Java use of JIT in worth mentioning. On the Java platform, a just-in-time compiler is used to transform the Java programs into platform independent, known as bytecode. In great contrast to .NET, bytecode is not an intermediary language that is compiled to native hardware optimization code, but it instead interpreted as execution time by the Java virtual machine. This process of interpreting code as it executes it is much slower than the compiled and cached method used by .NET JITs. To avoid the delay caused by JIT compilation at runtime, we can precompile our applications using the special tool called NGEN CLR Native Image Generator, which runs the JIT compiler over the whole program once and save the native code result on disk. Now, what is the common type system? This is also an important component of CLR, and it describes a set of types that can be used in different .NET languages in common. So common type system ensures that how many languages can be equal in data type. So CTC ensures that the object written in different .NET languages can interact with each other. For communicating between programs written in any .NET compatible language, the type have to be compatible on the basic level. Suppose that you have to write a VB code and you want to declare integer, so you should write integer as to declare an integer. When you use C# or C++, you just declare if you want to declare an integer type value, then just write int a. So these data type are not compatible actually, so that interfacing between them is very complicated. In order to enable these two different languages can communicate, Microsoft introduced common type system. So it is a data type in VB.NET, VB 6.0 and int data type in C++ will converted it to system dot int 32, which is a data type of CTS. So CTS actually provides the common type data type in which every language's data type converted and they become the same. So .NET treats all languages are equal, that is class written in C# should be same as in VB.NET language, must agree on the meaning of these concepts before they can integrate with one another. In order to make languages integration a reality, Microsoft has specified CTS to which every .NET language must stand. So CTS defines all the basic types that can be used in .NET framework and operation performs on those types. The common type system is not a runtime system, but a collection of rules that the runtime execution engine applies as code runs. The execution engine creates a virtual execution system that implements the common type system as well as garbage collection, installing the JIT and managing all other aspects of code execution under the runtime. Now let us discuss the functions of common type system. So includes rules for declaring, using and managing types. So CTS provides rules for declaring, using and managing types, means data types. CTS to establish a framework that helps enable cross language integration, type safety and high performance code execution. To define rules that languages must follow, which helps ensures that objects written in different languages can interact with each other. The CTS also defines the rules that ensures that the data type of objects written in various languages are able to interact with each other. The CTS also specifies the rules for type visibility and access to the members of a type. That is, the CTS establishes the rule by which assemblies from a scope by a type, and the CLR enforces the visibility rule. CTS also defines the rule governing type inheritance, virtual methods and object lifetime. CTS provides an object-oriented model that supports the complete implementation of many programming languages. So these services provided by the CTS. So now let us take the type category. What are the types categories? The common type system supports two general categories of types. First one is value type and second one is reference type. So value types defines directly. Value type directly contains their data, and instances of value types are either allocated on the stack or allocated inline in a structure. Value type can be built-in, user defined or enumerations. Now reference type stores a reference to a values memory address and are allocated on the heap. Reference type can be self-describing types, pointer type or interface type. The type type of a reference type can be determined from values of self-describing types. Self-describing types are further split into arrays and class types. The class types are user-defined classes, boxed value types, and delegates. Now, what is the common language specification? So, common language specification defines a subset of CTS. CTS is a set of basic language features that .NET languages needed to develop applications and services which are compatible with the .NET framework. When there is a situation to communicate objects written in different .NET compatible languages, those objects must expose the features that are common to all languages. So, common language specification ensures complete interoperability among applications regardless of language used to create the applications. The common language specification complements the common type system by agreeing on a common set of language specifications that languages and tools must follow in order to accepting. For a less abstract example, consider the fact that the .NET framework library is written in C. How can a developer then use JScript or FL to build a .NET solution without such rules? The answer, of course, it would not be possible. Managing a language compatible compliant with common language specification may require modifications to the language. The changes made to Visual Basic to make it a first-class citizen of .NET is a good example because it required numerous alterations. Even so, it is still VB. JScript.NET, in contrast, requires much fewer modification. Now, this is all about common language specification, common type system. So, common type system and common language specification and MSIL, these features make .NET framework possible that all languages, so that we can use different languages in .NET platform. Now, CLS is the subset of CTS, we already knows, and CTS, CLS is the subset of CTS, and CTS is the subset of CLR as MSIL. So MSIL, CTS, CLS plays important role in .NET framework. Now this is all about these components of .NET framework and other things. So thank you.